Hello, fellow Earthlings, and welcome to Deep Dive from the Hive, where we discuss modern-day musician life, answering the call to create, and what it takes to actually produce what you believe in. I'm your host, Marv Ellis, the captain of this submarine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, so let's batten down the hatches and get to it. Let's go. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited about today's guest. I missed out on my country fair talk with him, annual. So we're doing it like this now. And ironically. And ladies and gentlemen, I have the one and the only Alcyon Massive in the building right now. It's a pleasure to have you here. He's a reggae, electronica, acoustic singer, songwriter. Not only that, but a mural artist, a clothing and logo designer, a father, a Southern Oregon and Oregon Country Fair legend. It's true. Hello, man. How you doing?
What's up? How you doing?
Good to have you here, man.
Good.
Thanks for coming in. It's actually exciting for me because I've been wanting, you were on my list of gentlemen that I wanted to feature and have in here, and thanks for sliding the slot.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
And by the way, right off the bat, say hello to anybody you want to say hello to. Maybe Free.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, Felix Free called today and said to give you a big what's up. So
what's up, Free Will?
Yeah, he misses you.
I want to say hi to my mom and dad, my brother Colby,
Excellent.
my partner Sunshine, her daughter Charlotte, her son Bodie, my son Chiveo, and Brandon, Jesse, Shelby.
There it is.
Peace.
Shelby. What's up, Shelby?
That was different Shelby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still want to say hi to Shelby, though.
What's up, Shelby?
So, we have a lot of things to talk about.
Yes.
Because you're a Renaissance man. And it feels like this one is a long time coming. So, basically, I want to start off by asking how have you been? How are you doing?
I'm doing well now. It's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy couple years. But yeah, right now I'm doing better than I've been in the past year.
Okay.
Like doing well on almost every front, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, except for like being able to play music.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be sweet if we can do that like we used to.
Yeah, like we used to.
Yeah.
We're going to do it somewhat like that on Friday, I think.
Yeah?
I think.
Oh,
your
yeah.
Live stream. You're playing on Friday.
Yeah.
So tune in.
Super stoked.
The one and only Alcyon Massive is going to be rocking mega set. Mega set.
Yeah.
But you've got new music going on, yeah? Tell me about that.
Got a bunch of new music. Well,
let's talk. You want to go to that first, or
whatever's clever.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, man. So Soul Science I had was just a kind of a collection that was just like built up, and I couldn't get it out. Like I did a Kickstarter. It was my first time.
Yeah.
And I think my last time doing a Kickstarter, it was just like really weird. And
was that the electronica spaceship thing?
No. Soul Science is just my last album that came out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
But it also was tied. It was during that time where I was trying to transition more into solo / computer involved live set. And anyway, so I finally got that out. And since that point, a couple years ago, I've been able to like really, the music I've been making is like the most authentic music I've made since my original,
Really?
Yeah, like
since way back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like or Dreaming the World Awake. There was a really special thing that occurred that was like an amalgamation of like a number of things. Chiveo being born, the scene in Southern Oregon kind of rising up, Dutch Brothers, Indubious. It was just all like a crazy. But spiritually, that was a point where I was like just on point, just like every day waking up, meditating all the time. This was also pre-Chiveo, pre having a kid.
Having a big glass of black tea in the morning.
Yeah, no, coffee. Coffee.
You were a coffee man then.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember you going through your different stages of caffeine.
Well, I don't know if it was black coffee, though. Was it?
No, you were jacked on one year you came to fair.
No, it was yerba mate.
No, man, you were talking about this other tea.
No, mushroom tea.
I make like a double shot. Get after my
I'm always on the caffeine. Like, I'm approaching quitting caffeine, but
are you?
Well, I hope.
You're like weaning off?
I've been trying to, but it's like, sorry, I'm going all over the place, but
no, let's go.
It's
all
crazy,
over the place,
like,
man.
it's crazy waking up like this morning, right?
Yeah.
You know, I wake up at 6 o'clock,
Mm.
do my shit, get things ready, make some breakfast. Chiveo wakes up around 7 o'clock. I drive him at 8 o'clock to Ashland from Bedford, right,
Okay.
to go to school. Drive to my work at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Work from 9 o'clock all the way up until right before I had to come here.
Yeah.
Drive to my house, take a shower, change. On my way here.
Mm.
You know, so it's like, and then there's stuff after this, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of lifestyle is hard to do
Yep.
without caffeine.
I was just saying this yesterday. I hit a wall yesterday. Why did I hit a wall? I was looking in the mirror like, why are you hitting a wall? It's because every day I'm working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, fatherhood is a job.
No,
your art, your work,
there's so many hustles, man.
your art is a job. What's been going on with your art lately? You do murals, clothing, logos. We have
Starting to.
When you see the video, you'll see you have a psychedelic crab painting right here.
Yeah.
And
that's the closest thing I could, I saw from it.
no, I'm glad you grabbed that.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of SpongeBob, sort of, but a little more psychedelic.
Those are inspired from some trips I had where I kept seeing these squiggle things, and they would envelop me, and I could shoot them out of my own hands. And
Like you had squiggle fingers.
oh yeah, squiggle everything was squiggles. And so one of my coworkers at the time, when I was working at Wicked Flower,
Mm-hmm.
big up Wicked Flower,
Okay.
she was like, they're like electric Cheetos. And I was like, oh, I like that. So
You work at Wicked Flower.
I did work at Wicked Flower.
You did, but that's not the current.
Well, it's my role there is more like social media
Okay.
management and encouragement,
Yeah.
and just graphic design.
Yeah.
For
That's what I want to know about.
stickers
Yeah.
and T-shirts and stuff like that.
You've done that, but you've also done nutrient companies. You've done. I've been to. I played a show, and they're like, Alcyon just did that bus over there, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Buffalo's house.
Yeah, Buffaloes. Big up to Buffalo.
Big up Buffalo. Respect.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's a good
That's
guy.
a crazy thing, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see your art on things that I'm buying. And not having talked to you for like a while, and then I'm just like, well, I'll buy this, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that logo, I know that style. You have a style,
Yeah.
and it's not just based upon colors. I've seen you drop your style on just pure black and white, and you can still tell it's your style.
Yeah, big up Oregon's only, but Nectar for the Gods family. But
stuff.
Scott, the owner of that company, he supported me more or less through commissioning me for art and labels and T-shirts and stuff like that. But he had a strict marketing campaign that's black and white.
That was the rules.
Yeah, I loved him because he's like super punk rock in his ethos of like,
Okay.
he's like, if you have to have $1 million high gloss ad in the middle of high times, you've got a shitty product. If you've got a good product, people will tell the other people. They're like, dude, how'd you get this fucking weed?
Yeah.
Like, how did it do this? Like, what'd you do? How'd you get your plant like that? You know,
Yeah.
like, how did it, how'd you save your plant? You
Yeah.
know, and people start talking about products, and Scott has one of those products that is promoted primarily through word of mouth and a very generous free sample starter kit.
Okay.
Yeah. That,
Just
it's
for any
like,
grower out there. that wants to know.
well, I don't know if it's free. Sorry, Scott. I don't know if it's free. I think that actually might be one of the banes of his existence is people like me being like, yeah, you get free nutrients from Scott.
He's over it, dude.
No, probably. Charlie, shut the fuck up, Charlie. No, but they got great stuff, and I'm super. Yeah, so that forced me to go into black and white for close to 10 years of like most of my things being commissioned for black and white, and it was cool to do that, and then I started painting acrylics. Like brush to canvas when Chiveo was like born, right before he was born for whatever reason.
You do acrylics, but
Mm-hmm.
you've done Krylon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was that your?
No, so I didn't come up a graffiti writer. Like I came up like living 30 minutes outside of New York City.
Yeah.
Like if I took the train and got off the train, I was in New York City.
Yeah.
And so I was hugely influenced. My dad worked on, he worked in the Twin Towers for like 15 years.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And so I saw a lot of New York City as a kid and was dramatically influenced by just witnessing that culture. And like one of those things was seeing the subway. Like I've always wanted to do a painting of a dude in a suit, like looking from the back and the dude in the suit with a briefcase holding his like son's hand. And like the subway being there, covered in graffiti. Cause my dad would just be like, This is horrible. You know,
Yeah.
these fucking delinquents. And I would just be standing there being like, this is so fucking cool.
So it's 30 minutes from Connecticut, where you were
born and
raised,
Mm-hmm.
to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
New York City.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see a map and you don't really realize the size of Oregon compared to the East Coast states, and the travel difference, you know, and the relationships between the states.
It's nutty.
What was it like in Connecticut? Like I wasn't born there.
Connecticut, Southwest Connecticut.
Southwest.
Yeah, because it's like where I grew up is a mixture of white collar Wall Street workers and, you know, people that work in those kind of environments, and they commute very safely back to their little Connecticut homes.
Okay.
And then by nature, there's surrounding like urban environments and cities, you know, kind of like, you know, stacked up next to those towns, right? And so where I grew up was super safe, like, you know, super affluent. Like I said, my dad used to work on Wall Street, and we weren't wealthy, you know, but like
Middle class.
we weren't middle class. I mean,
Lower middle class.
I don't know how to put it, but it's like, no, we didn't. It was nice, you know, things were nice.
Things weren't bad.
Not at all.
No,
not at all. Like, I don't want anybody listening to think that I came up with a struggle at all. You know, as far as financially, you know,
you're just being real.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Because there's a later part to that story.
You want to go there right now?
Well, we could, but Connecticut's like, there's a reason I live in Oregon. There's a reason I flew out at 24.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, how
did not look back.
How did you land here?
That's a long story, but you know, but like, yeah, living in Connecticut, it gave me my base, right, for growing up and being next to people I immediately didn't identify with. I never identified with the culture, the country club culture,
like you're going to be a future politician culture.
Yeah, or a stockbroker, or that the stock market to me, no matter how many times my dad explained it, he was a bonds broker.
Okay.
And he would explain it to me. I'd be like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I hear numbers and stuff, whatever. So
it's a bit sort of having an artistic mind, because sometimes people try to explain Bitcoin and stocks to me, and it doesn't calculate in my head exactly what they're telling me, but I get it.
I get it,
but I'm not really interested.
I'm not interested. I grew up around that, and I didn't like it all. Like, you know, I love nice things. Yeah, you know, for sure. Yeah, but it doesn't drive my existence. Right. And for a lot of people out there, when I grew up, you know, in the 80s and 90s, that was it. You know, that's what I grew up with. And I did go to school with a lot of kids that first cars were Benzes and, you know, like nice cars and shit like that. And
were you drawing? Did you have sketchbooks?
Always drawing.
What were you sketching? What were you?
In high school?
Yeah, just.
Well, high school was like.
You started getting into, you're like, I want to be a creative.
Hip hop came, so like, so 7th through 9th grade was like punk rock, just nothing really but punk rock.
From that DC movement of punk?
No, I mean, it was like really like watching skate videos, and then like, you know, you'd hear like a Bad Religion song, or, you know, I'd be like, what was that? I like that. And then you'd find out where it was, and then find the mailing catalog, and then like that whole fucking process.
Order your CDs.
Of getting, it was tape at first, you know?
Yeah, man.
But then in 10th grade, a kid named Franco Gencarelli. Franco Gencarelli.
Good name.
Yeah. He's like, I got turntables if you want to buy them. I'm like, what? I knew nothing about it. I didn't know how to get into it, you know, or anything. And he had 2 shitty, like belt-driven Newmarks with an even shittier mixer. Yeah. And I was like, I'll take it. You know, so I saved up money from my job, and I think I was working at a video store. And bought these turntables and a mixer, and he just had the worst records, like a couple of the worst like hip hop records ever. Wow. And so I was like really determined to find.
So you kind of started off as a DJ almost.
That's what I
record hunting
considered myself.
Wow.
You know,
what was your first DJ name? Come on.
They're bad. No,
come on.
No, I think it was
what is
Golden
it?
Touch.
Golden Touch. DJ Golden Touch. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got into that, and then that transformed, you know. So the whole time it was like I never like disliked, and once I found some kind of music I liked, I stayed with it, or it stayed with me somehow, you know. So the punk rock stayed with me even through the hip hop, and that led me to like I was going into the city and going to Fat Beats and going to Rock and Soul and going to all these
like NY. You going to New York City?
Oh yeah.
Subway 30 minutes go record hunting.
Yeah, all
in
day.
the 90s.
All day. Yeah.
Wait, what year was this?
96 through.
So like in the golden era of hip hop, you were 30
Dude,
minutes away
I remember
from
buying.
New York City.
I bought Jay-Z's.
No way, Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah, and like there's so many albums, dude, that it was just like when I bought them, they were this big. That's what I try to explain to kids. I'm like, you guys are being fucking robbed so bad with this. Like you get this much, and like this is like, and then you open it up.
And you're on
like,
the bed
whoa.
like this with your headphones, like wow.
Yeah, man. So that was like a huge part of my existence. It was a huge, large source of fights between me and my girlfriend at the time. You know, who didn't.
She didn't like the golden touch.
Well, she didn't like going to the. She'd like go to New York. Oh, you want to go to New York? Yeah, let's go to New York. And then it's like
it's not very.
I spent all day long in record stores, like in dark dungeons and shit.
Oh man.
But so yeah, and then let's go. I'll just keep going with that.
Where do you want to go with it?
I'm gonna go like this.
Tell me the line.
So that led me because in high school I was the only kid that was into this. Being a DJ, there was no other kid.
No rappers.
Interested.
Nobody wanted to.
No,
rap.
I was doing it. I would like just.
Wow.
I would literally rap in the hallways for just freestyle and shit like that. And so during high school, a lot of the Italian kids, you know, they were into hip hop, and one of those kids was Benny Bruno, who I grew up with. You know, when you're in a small town, you grow up with kids, but sometimes you're not friends with them until later. Yeah. And so in high school, we started connecting, and you know, he was the first person who came in, and he was like, "Yo, I saw the dopest movie last night." I was like, "What?" He's like, Belly.
Oh man.
In theaters.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's the movie that showed you how to use neon in film and like black lights and black light paint.
That's a gangster film.
Was it who directed
like,
it? Spike? Is it somebody famous?
Todd.
Can you see who directed Belly? Trevor? Because that movie, I remember that. It was, I mean, I'm over here in the West, in Eugene, Oregon.
And I remember,
I remember that movie.
I was like, what's it about? He's like, it's a gangster movie. I'm like, what do you mean it's a gangster movie? He's like, it's a gangster movie. So, yeah. And then Benny just became a really good friend of mine. And when I went to school, I got in.
Hivve Williams. That's right.
Sense.
Thank you.
I got a soccer scholarship to a small town.
That's right.
In
that's right.
Virginia.
And position you played?
Stopper.
I was marking back, so I would have been on your left side.
Okay.
And you would have told me who to shut down, and that's would have been my job.
I never played stopper before college, and I got there, and like, I'm not a big dude, and I remember getting to college and being like, oh fuck, these are like men.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
They're going gam
They're
on
so
you.
big.
Grown
like,
ass men.
Yeah, and when they hit you, you go, it's fucking hard.
And they know all the secret subtle
me for swearing.
tricks. It's okay, we can say fuck, whatever. But they know the tricks too, like how to pull your jersey just enough on a header and like keep you down so they can push off your shoulders and shit. You know what I'm talking about.
And it was only D3, you know, it wasn't like big time or anything.
It's college, man. It's college sports. It's not a game anymore.
First game, coach is like, he's this big dude, captain of the Bermudian rugby team when he wasn't doing that, right?
Yeah.
And he had an English accent. He did not like me. And he was like, first game, he's like, all right, sweet Chuck. Oh,
Sweet Chuck?
That was a mistake.
Gotcha.
But that's what he called me.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It's okay. I was bush nuts in my baseball college team.
So he tells me,
my nut.
He's like, go play stopper. I'm like, I don't know. I've been playing fucking right back the whole time. Why are you putting me at stopper?
Yeah.
Puts me at stopper. And then, yeah. So anyway, so like I played college played that. But then I made the mistake that spring, freshman year, of pledging a fraternity.
Okay.
And most of the soccer guys were on it. The cool guys on the soccer team were like, pulled me aside. They're like, don't fucking do this. Stupid. You don't need to join the fraternity. Like you're already on the team. Like you don't need to join the inner club. So I joined the fraternity and like wasted the majority of that semester at school. Yeah. By drinking, fighting, like stupid shit. Yeah. And getting into trouble. And so
as is the way. Sophomore
year, played soccer, but did horrible. And just continue the party train. And then came back to Connecticut winter of like 2000. And then right after that, I became Benny still lived in Darien.
Benny Bruno.
Okay. And I became friends with him, started hanging out with him. Because when you're that age and like everybody else is still at school, you get really tight with like the kids that are there.
And you're 20 going into 21. So it's like bar scene's about to be a reality and you got to have your close homies to walk in there with.
But Benny had been buying beer since he was like 15.
Benny Bruno, the beer buyer.
Yeah. Okay. He just was a G.
Right.
And everybody in town loved him, and like he really never got into trouble, but and he always had my back if we were, you know, needed him or got into trouble at a party or something. And most importantly, he was always the person at the party to be like, "Yo, everybody, shut the fuck up," you know, like Charlie's gonna freestyle. You know,
Oh, okay,
like,
so you were the guy.
I was that guy.
You were the guy.
Yeah,
I know
like,
the guy.
yeah.
I was the guy.
Yeah.
We were all the guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
So
you know,
can I just rewind a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're talking about being a DJ, going into New York City as a teenager, getting hype on DJing, and you have to understand that for me, I was equally as hype, and all I had was the Source magazine.
Yep.
And then I'd have to dig for those records, but you could just go there and get them. And you were digging for records during the golden era of hip hop. And I'm talking about like Jay-Z, Outkast, Snoop. They all released their solo albums the first same.
The golden era.
Yeah, and you were digging in that. But what MC made you, I want to rap?
I always wanted to rap.
But who?
That's not really fair. Because I don't really know. Because like, I mean, I don't know.
Come on,
like
man.
Run DMC.
Run DMC, give me 5.
Oh, Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. That's okay. It's okay.
Don't put the clock on. The clock on makes
I know.
me feel
Let's
like,
go. Let's go. Let's
fuck.
go. Vanilla Ice. Run DMC.
And then, those are the beginning.
Isn't it weird how this makes you feel?
Fuck that. Those are like in the beginning as a kid, right?
Right.
But once I remember I was in some kind of like store and my friend's like, oh, my older sister really likes this.
Yeah.
And it was a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah,
Beats
man.
Rhymes Life.
Yes. Track 13.
Is that
We on a
I
world
really know?
tour with Muhammad, my man. Going
Is that Beats Rhymes Life?
Probably not.
I think that's Midnight Marauders.
You're right.
But it
That
might
is.
be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I got like, that's when I was like, what? Like, this is fucking dope.
Yeah.
This is super duper dope.
Yeah.
And then that led me into a whole train of trying to find that stuff. And then finding Mos Def, Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of guys came out on that label, Raucus.
Yeah.
Raucus that
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And the Sound Bombing.
Yeah, that was
album.
the fire. High Tech and Quali's first album was.
Oh, who are the white guys? The High and Mighty.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, all these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was like this time, and nobody else in my life
That's
was
so
into
weird.
this.
That's so. What about Wu-Tang?
Oh, well, not real. Like Benny was super into Wu-Tang. Benny had a huge Wu on the back of his fucking Camaro.
You're 30 minutes
And,
away, man.
Staten Island, yeah, but
Sort of.
it's different.
Relatively.
It's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Like,
can't throw a rock
I
and
didn't
hit
really,
it, but-
to be real, I didn't really identify with that Wu-Tang. Like
Okay.
I loved it,
No,
you
yeah.
know, but that wasn't until later when Killer Bees came out.
Yeah.
And then that was like, once I heard that song,
Yeah.
I started getting into it a little bit more.
Can I ask you something? Just subtly slip it in there. Weed, high school, hip hop, DJ guy, freestyler guy. Was weed around?
Kind of. I bought my first dime sack in some class. This kid he's like, yo, you want to buy a dime sack? And I was like, what's a dime sack?
Right.
And anyway, and then I went to wood class. I bought the dime sack.
Yeah.
Went to wood class, made a bowl.
Yeah. And then you went outside and smoked
I
it?
waited till I got home.
Okay.
I was good, kind of.
And then then what
from
happened?
then it was on. It was just like, okay, how do I find this shit?
Yeah.
How do I like?
Yeah.
And in Connecticut, it was not easy, and it was never good weed.
Was
For the
it
most
BC?
part,
Or was it,
yeah,
was
but
it Canada?
It was called BC,
Yeah.
Beaster Buds.
Yeah.
But it was just always just keefless, really
Chunks of
tight,
dirt. Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it was hard to get. And again, a lot of my friends who I grew up with and I became friends with in high school were like British and soccer players.
That's interesting.
And didn't really smoke weed.
Yeah.
They drank a shit ton,
Yeah.
but they didn't really smoke weed. And so big up Lee, best friend, grew up. He moved here when he was in 3rd grade from Liverpool. And he smoked weed.
Yeah.
I don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Allegedly, you know.
I don't think it's that bad.
His girlfriend, his wife.
I don't. It's still okay. I mean, we all come from somewhere, and if she's
Like when I went out there, she liked me until we all went out, and like I was smoking, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna get in trouble. He's like, no. His eyes. He's the kind of guy that's like cuts back just off one hit. He's like,
So how did this
like we were gonna stay in their dope like apartment in New York City,
and it was
and
not
all of a
on?
sudden it was like, oh, I don't know if we can.
Look, hey man, I talked to the wife, and
I don't blame her. Like looking at me and kind of like when I'm out and drinking, being with my best friends from the East Coast, like I kind of don't blame her. You know, I was a little unbridled.
So how does this unbridled man who plays college soccer and drinks, kind of puffs weed, freestyles at parties, is DJ Golden Touch, grew up record hunting in New York City. How in the fuck did you land all the way over here in Applegate, Oregon?
So, here's a story. Benny Bruno. When I got home from school, like I said, I was hanging out with Benny, and on a random day, I went skateboarding and went to a pizza place. Saw Benny's bike outside, his motorcycle. We eat pizza together. I'm sitting on the curb outside, smoking a cigarette and talking, and he's like, all right, I'll see you later. And he gets on his bike, and it looked like it was doing a wheelie, you know. I later learned it was his throttle that stuck. Smashed into a wall, like 200 yards away from me. And so I ran up, and he wasn't wearing a helmet. It was mostly over, you know, but I held him as he passed. And that night, his little sister, big up Ashley, she's like a hippie. I wasn't a hippie. She brought her hippie friends to mourn. I brought my friends came. Benny's friends came, who was like everybody. Like everybody in town came to this parking lot. It became this surreal scene where candles, you know, all this stuff.
That's heavy.
And two things happened that night. One, I met a guy named Jesse Ostreicher, big up Jesse, who's currently still drums with me.
Yeah.
And he was like talking all this crazy stuff about David Icke and conspiracy theories and the Illuminati and all these words. I'm like, what? I don't know what. This all sounds awesome though. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you should move to Oregon and like we should like play music.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Time Machine Records, Jesse. Time Machine Records also has
Big up Time Machine Records.
Incredible vinyl selection in Grants Pass downtown if you want to check out Time Machine Records. But was that your first big loss? Like, you know, close friend, big. That's tough, man.
It was that, and just the combination of that, and just being, you know, just witnessing life. That was definitely the first time I've ever seen something end. You know, a human. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man. I didn't know that happened.
It's okay. It's taken me a long time to get to a point of talking about it. You know,
I can tell.
Like whatever, but so yeah, like that was the night that I was like, okay. In my head, I was just like, everything was so fucked. I was just like, you know, just move to Oregon. And, you know, that sounds like a great idea. So, and then I had a guitar. My dad just got me an acoustic guitar. I always had an electric guitar, but I never had an acoustic guitar. Never really sang in front of anybody. I freestyle. Yeah. I never sang.
Were you freestyling, like just jamming chords and rapping, or were you like,
no, I was just freestyle, like, beatboxing, freestyling kind of shit. Or like if I was really obnoxious, I would have like a boombox with a fucking instrumental tape. Yeah. But, yeah, I started singing Sublime, and of course, little by little, everybody started singing. And before I knew it, it was like there's mad people singing, and, you know, it was not sad. It was like this joyous moment where I was like, whoa, that's fucking crazy.
This is the funeral in the parking lot.
Yeah, it wasn't the funeral. You know, it was just like, it was just like, it was just like a kind of just a holding space, you know, because like nobody really, there were so many people affected. The cops were driving up, checking, just making sure that everything was cool. Meanwhile, people were drinking, people were, you know, going out and getting cigarettes for everybody and like smoking weed and stuff. And the cops loved Benny so much that they just would come up and make sure nobody was driving and, you know, nobody was going to get in trouble. And yeah. And so that was powerful. I later started dating Benny's little sister, who was a couple years younger than me.
Okay.
And I started working for Benny's dad, who owned a bar. And I was the only like non-Italian that worked there, and they let me know every time I walked in. Like, here comes the fucking wasps! Get out your fucking hornet spray!
Wow!
Get this motherfucker!
Wow!
He's wearing his fucking hat again. Free drinks for everybody, you motherfucker!
Really?
They're kidding, you know.
No, I get it, but it's like Soprano.
It wasn't like,
not that they're mafia.
Do you know what the number? You know what numbers is? You ever hear about numbers?
Which?
Like in the city where people, wait, you play the numbers today? You know, like or,
oh yeah, like Keno and stuff, or what?
No, it's like this mafia kind of run thing that's like, it's like the
I've
lottery.
I've seen it in movies, yeah.
Yeah, I never understood it, but he played, you know, there was that kind of, you know, level thing kind of going on. Okay. Nothing, I never saw anything too crazy. But we eventually moved. I saved up money, moved. No, there's a crazier part to the story.
Yo, get crazier.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Because I came out to, how did this work? I forget. It was all so fast. I was in working. My dad was like, if you're going to be out of school, you need to get a job. And I was like, well, what'd you do? And he was like, I bartended. I was like, fine, I'll go bartend. Yeah. So my dad was like, well, you should go to bartending school, which to me at the time sounded ridiculous, and it is. It's just as ridiculous as it sounds. And I go to the class, and part of the deal is they give you a job at the end of the class. Yeah. And so where did they put me was Red Lobster. And
you went to Red Lobster?
Red Lobster.
Home of the better Chiskets?
In a town called Bridgeport, Connecticut. And anybody that knows about Bridgeport says in Norwalk, which isn't as bad as Bridgeport. I'm sorry, Norwalk. It's really not. It's not as bad as Bridgeport.
Yeah, I'm sure the cities aren't taking an offense to what you're saying.
Norwalk probably would. Being called Bridgeport is not like a thing. But anyway, I was the only white dude. I think there was one other white dude.
You've always been the only.
I was definitely not the only white kid growing up. I was definitely the only white kid. All white kids growing up. There was like 4 black kids in my school. Okay. It was white.
But your young adulthood, it seems like you're kind of.
I was solo. There was a lot of solo stuff going on. Yeah. Like in high school, it would be like, I'd be making a mix at night and my friends would call me from a party and be like, bro, like, you got to go over here. This is crazy. And so-and-so is here and this girl's here and da-da-da-da. And I'd be like, no, man, I just figured out this and this. And and there's like the sampler thing that I just got. And I and it's like, they're like, what? And they're like, you're weird. Huh? Like that was always the response I got from most people. It's just like, you're fucking weird. And I'm like, all right. So, anyway, so I was the only white dude at Red Lobster. And there was a guy named Dave Roy that would come around the corner when I would make drinks, or he'd need his drinks. He'd go, more fire, more fire. And I'd be like, what are you saying, Dave Roy? And he'd be like, you don't know about Capleton? I'm like, what? And Sizzla? I'm like, who? And I'm like, I don't know any of these people. And he'd go and bring me a CD the next day.
Oh, okay.
And then that was the time of me really getting into because I was already headed towards Rasta. Yeah. Already reading my Bible, listening to Bob Marley, but I didn't have really access to any other reggae. There's nobody in my life. This was it's not pre-internet. I feel like that I was just lazy with the internet.
It's kind of like right around Napster-ish time, right?
No, that was later.
Still not yet.
No, still not.
Oh, wow.
Definitely way before Napster.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was the moment where he let me get into that. I was like, oh, and I found out about these artists and these artists and these artists that were really roots reggae. Yeah. And then my dad said he was mad because I was working at Red Lobster. Then I started working at the bar, And at the bar, I made so much money, I only needed to work 3 days a week. And my dad, I was kicking it way too much. And my dad was like, you need to get another job because I don't want you home. You're home too much. Yeah. And I was like, fine. Tower Records. This gives a time period because I went to Tower Records where they still sold CDs.
Wow.
There's a whole big building. They sold CDs, tapes probably. Uh-huh. And I get there and they're like, okay, what kind of music do you like? Do you have a preference in what section you'd like to work in? And I was like, reggae. At that point in my life, I was like, definitely reggae. And they're like, fine, because there's nobody else here that wants to deal with those.
So you went and worked at Tower Records in the reggae section?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously? Mm-hmm. From the Capleton CD inspiration, the liftoff from that.
Led me in more in that direction. Just being like, what? Wow. When you hear that stuff, when you hear Capleton and Sizzla for the first time, especially old Capleton, you're like, because it just sounds like, but it's so intense that it's just
it sparks the curiosity.
And to me, the mark of a true, spiritual person is that fire or the fruit, you know what I mean, that they produce, and that fruit, I was like, this is amazing. And so when I worked at Tower Records, there'd be Jamaicans and Trinidadians and other, Caribbean folk that would come in and be like, they'd be like, do you have this? And I'd be like, what's that? And they'd be like, you don't know about that? And I'd be like, no. And one guy from UPS, he was running UPS, and he was in the middle of his lunch. And he's getting this movie called Rockers. You ever seen Rockers? Yeah. I had never seen Rockers. He's like, wow. You don't know about Rockers? And he's like, he almost
and you're working in this section?
Yeah, totally. And so that just kind of led me. And then it really was until I moved out here, Jesse at that time couldn't stand me because he was like, I can't stand this music because I can't understand it. And it's it's pretty religious. It's pretty dogmatic, and
you went to Tower Records before you came up north.
Oh yeah. Or came out west?
Yeah, I came out west.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is all Connecticut.
Okay.
when I got out to,
Because in my brain, as a West Coast kid, I'm thinking Tower Records, L.A.
no, this is
There's
Tower
one in
Records
Connecticut.
in Stamford, Connecticut at the time.
That's where Jim Halbert went to work. Go ahead.
That is where Jim Halbert went to work. You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
Big up Stamford.
Yeah.
And where am I? I don't know where I am.
Actually, that's where Holly works. My bad.
You made me think about The Office.
Sorry. So you're at Tower Records. You're getting inspired.
Oh.
These people are coming in, talking to you, showing you the new stuff, the new flavors they're giving you.
But at that same time, this is a big thing I forgot to mention.
Tell me.
In high school, like senior year, my little brother, and I did not like hippies. I didn't like Fish. I didn't like the Grateful Dead. I didn't like any of it. Didn't want anything to do with it. My brother's like super into it, my little brother.
Okay.
And he's like, Charlie, will you drive me and my friend to a Fish show? I'm like, absolutely not.
Okay.
No way. Then I'm at work at a summer camp with my buddy, and I'm like telling him, like, yeah, my brother wanted me to take him to a fucking Fish show. And he's like, and you said no? Bro, no, we're going. This is going to be super fun.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, my parents are driving them. It's fine. He's like, even better. Your parents will drive. That means we don't have to fucking drive. He's like, I'll get my own ticket when I get there. And I had never heard somebody say that before. And this is kind of common in that scene, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes there, and literally we're like walking into the place, and like I see him just like, some guy's got a ticket in the air, you know, and then Sandy's, all right, here you go. We're walking into the place, and Sandy's like, here, take these. And it was my first bag of mushrooms.
Ah, your first bag of mushrooms. What was that like?
Awesome. And so
Tell me about it.
Yeah, just like that.
Was it like that?
Yeah, it was. And so by the time I got up to the top where we were, it was outside on a grassy field, amphitheater kind of style.
Just tripping balls.
And I didn't know that in the Fish community, this first song that was played hadn't been played in a long time, right? And Fish fans like to all sing along to all the lyrics. And the first thing that happens, everybody's just cheering, and all you hear is just like, da, da, da. And I remember everybody around me was like, ha, ha. Dun, 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 ha, ha. And I was like, oh, boy. And it was the first and I had such a fantastic time. And I remember looking at the stars and just being like, this is so fucking amazing. Oh, my God. Like, and then my flip phone, cell phone's ringing. Yeah. And I'm like, it's my dad. And my dad's like, Charlie, this is ridiculous. They won't let me in there. I told them I'm your father and that I want to come get you, and they won't let me into the show without a ticket. That's how.
Was he your ride?
Yeah.
Okay.
But at this point, I was like, totally forgot about didn't give a fuck about any of that. And I was just like, he's like, take your brother, who was like probably 13 or 14 at the time.
Did he eat
no, hell no. Okay. Hell no. No, he was with his buddy. They probably smoked some weed,
just
but like, no, he's never been into that. And so my dad's like, take your brother and bring him out to the parking lot. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know what else to say right now, but second set just started, and this is fucking amazing. And I'm not doing that. And I'll see you later.
And then you hung up the phone and just like, back to the show.
Yeah. And
dude, I love that.
And that show changed my life because I was just having the best time of my life. And my little brother found my parents. You know, they drove off. At the end of the show, I'm just like, I'm just gonna find somebody I know. And I'm walking down the hill, and I'm like, that's Matthew Marluzzi. Matt. And he's like, what's up, Charlie? I'm like, are you going back to Darien? Can you give me a ride? He's like, sure. I'm like, sweet. And then on the way to his car, this guy's like, you want to buy some weed? I'm like, let me see it. And it's like, showed me. I'm like, that's the best weed I've ever seen in my life. And so I bought that. Yeah. Woke up the next morning just like, that was amazing. So that was one experience.
It was a life-changing moment.
And so when I got kicked out of Lynchburg in Virginia, and I went to community college in Connecticut, I would like find the few people that liked Fish, and this was the days of Napster at this point. Okay. And so I was like looking into Fish and getting into that, and this is post Tower Records and everything. I think, I don't know, I might be mixing it up.
Sometimes it gets mixed up.
But that all was put on kind of pause. I never went to another show like that. I didn't eat mushrooms again. You know, like I didn't, it's not that I didn't want the experience. I just wasn't friends with anybody that could provide that kind of experience. Then Benny died. And one day I was driving in my Jeep, and Ashley and Jesse were in the car. And I had a mixtape in of punk rock on one side, and on the other side was String Cheese Incident, because I liked one song. and they're listening, like, it was punk rock, and then I flipped it, and they're like, "You like String Cheese?" And I was like, "Well, I like this song." And I was like, "I went to a Fish show. I like that." And they're like, "Oh, String Cheese is playing this weekend in Madison Square Garden. Like, you should come with us."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "That sounds fucking awesome. Sure." And so I went there, and it was one of the first times, like, I don't like to promote taking things, you know, outside of the world of natural plant medicines.
Yeah.
But I have had experiences, and this is one of those experiences.
It's only human.
Where I drank Jägermeister, probably, going to the show with Jesse.
Okay.
And when I got to the show, one of the girls I went with was like, literally just this, like, she's like, "Hold up, open your mouth." And she put a pill in my mouth.
Like in the movies.
Swallowed it. And then, like, you know, I'm having a good time, kind of.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, not having a good time.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. But, like, so I just, like, go to the bathroom, take off my shirt. I'm, like, putting water in my face. I looked at this guy. I'm like, "What is going on?" And he's like, "I don't know, man. It looks like you're rolling, though." I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that thing. Oh, okay."
Oh, that double stack I just took.
Yeah, and so then I was like, same thing. I was like, I'm going to go find some people I know.
Yeah.
And so I went back in, and a Swedish girl named Caroline was there with this big boa thing. She's like, "Charlie!" And I was like, "Hey!" And that was awesome. And then, you know, once I figured out that you can get psychedelics at those kinds of shows, that was like my quest. You know?
So you continue going to String Cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Or everything, like
anything I could, like
String Cheese,
Fish, you know,
the Dead were still around.
They were like playing in various forms, like the other ones and different things, you know.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Did you attend any other shows other than those types of bands? Did you go to? Did you see any hip hop shows? Did you see any reggae shows? Did people come through?
So that's the thing. At those types of shows and festivals, Jurassic 5 was like fitting that.
Yeah,
thing
Charlie
for
Tuna.
Me. Yeah, and DJ Logic, he was heavily involved in that scene. And so for me, like in the jam scene, there were lots of kids like me that, like, it was very common to be on lot, you know, be walking down Shakedown and have a kid with a boombox blaring Biggie.
Okay.
Like very common.
Yeah.
And like almost like it's like almost cliche now. You know, it's like almost like you know.
But now it's trendy.
It's like a wook thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's
Land of Wooks.
Yeah. Big up to all the Wooks. I'm a Wook, I guess.
Yeah, my brother's a Wook model. Yeah. Shout out to the Alchemist. He
Yeah.
really
Dude,
is a
no,
Wook model. Have you seen him lately?
I've seen the progression. You know,
if I showed you a picture, you'd fall.
Well, he's
you'd
a
fall
handsome
in love.
devil.
He's become.
Who says I already have it?
He's got the beard man bun and the top man bun.
Oh.
Simultaneously.
That's a lot.
It's too much.
That's a lot going on.
Looks like William Wallace.
He's one of my favorite characters. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy. So, can we just? My brother, what a character. So I really want to know all this culture you're absorbing over there. You know, it doesn't seem like from what you said is really conducive to the lifestyle that most people lead in the East Coast, right? It's kind of like very rebellish, sort of.
Yeah,
I
mean, my first CD was Rage Against the Machine.
Good.
You know, once I saw Zach De La Roca, like, or however you say his name.
I think that's right.
Oh, hopefully close.
I think it's De La Roca.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But once I saw that dude, like, that's a huge reason why I grew dreads.
Really?
Yeah, huge reason. Like, once I saw the 1992 Freedom video where he's like black and white, he's just running across the stage.
So your dreads are more of an anti-establishment.
They've always
origins.
been.
They're not just because reggae, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a long story to all of that, right? And then there's a progression of like me having my own vibe, me having my own relationship with God, Jesus, Yeshua, you know, Rastafari, like whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And then like coming out, we'll kind of jump over here right now where I do come out to the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
And
straight here to Oregon?
No, I took a plane out. Okay, fuck, dude, it's hard to tell the
story.
There's so much.
I know there's so much, but let's just go with that line of travel of your path. And your path at this moment has been coming up, inspiration coming from all angles, hip hop, reggae, punk, and then you kind of and then you got your education in all these different areas. The hip hop with the record hunting, you know, obviously New York, and then you got this education working in the reggae section at Tower Records, and then you got this like jam band, touring band, education on that family vibe around a festival and all those things. And then then let's take it to Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Let's be here. Let's
we
be
can
here.
Go over here. Yeah.
Because you're in Oregon now. And did you come here first?
I took a plane out to San Francisco.
Okay.
Traveled upwards. Did land in Medford at first. The living conditions were less than satisfactory.
So, and that is the way.
And I heard there was a rainbow gathering going on. My first rainbow gathering I went to in 2001, 2002 maybe. That's when I first flew out here.
Okay.
And I was in Medford for like a month and a half. And then I went down to the rainbow gathering, spent like a month and a half there. And my girlfriend at the time was like, cool at first with being in the woods for that long, and like not having bathrooms and stuff. And then after a while, she was just like, get me the fuck out of here.
Right.
So we went back to Connecticut.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
And then it wasn't until 2004 when Jesse finally called me. He's like, I got a house. Let's do this.
Oh.
So then I flew out here to Oregon in 2004.
Okay.
And
really?
Yep.
So when I was doing the Spirit Tower just starting, you were just...
I was just landing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was 2000. We lived in a hippie house, and
What city?
it was crazy. Medford. South Medi.
20 years ago. Medford, 20 years ago.
Is it?
Yes, it's that long ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. You've been here for 20 years.
No, your math is off.
16? 17, including 2001.
20 scares me for some reason. But yeah, man, it's like half my life, being out here.
Yeah.
For the most part. And yeah, I flew out here and started a band with Jesse called Organic Time Machine.
Okay.
Which
Time Machine Records.
Yeah.
Well, before you did the band, when you landed and you took a look around and surveyed the scene.
No, there was no
there wasn't.
It was a mission. Like he literally was out here collecting the bassist, other things like.
Okay.
And when I got out here, it was game on, and it was like he was really big on like practice, as many days in the week as we can.
Reggae.
No, I wanted reggae, but he wouldn't play one drop. Right?
Fucking Jesse.
Well, he does now.
I'm just
to be
joking,
fair.
Jesse.
And my bass player was an amazing bassist, self-taught, but he loved the like Victor Wooten, Les Claypool, like Skip Wicked,
Pentatonic.
Well, like really slappy,
Yeah.
a lot of movement and stuff. Not.
Yeah, like that midnight vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyway, I would try to always infuse my things in there, and they were really cool about letting me do that and writing music. But then I met the mother of my son, Allison, and she was the first person I met on the West Coast who knew Sizzla, Capleton, and the rest of them, was super into the scene. And then she introduced me to Bay Area hip hop, Living Legends, Zion I, et cetera, et cetera.
Not Zion I yet.
What?
They weren't really.
What? 2004? Or 2000? No, this is 2006 by this point.
Wow, it has been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just don't remember them when I first started listening to. I guess I was listening to
that was Mind Over Matter.
I think I was listening to Legends like in 97.
Yeah.
So they weren't.
It's
around
been a
then.
long time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so I super got into that. The Grouch is huge, one of my biggest like early influences, like out here rapping.
Okay.
And and then that's when I got a little Boss foot pedal, and I had a synth, and I would make like little beats on the looper and stuff like that. And then Allison had a Mac, and she told me I needed to get a job at Guitar Center. So I got a job at Guitar Center.
I worked at Guitar Center.
I feel like everybody has to put their time in.
Similar paths, my man.
Well, there's a lot
I
of
did the
musicians
bartending thing.
Yeah.
I was the guy at the party rapping.
Yeah.
I worked at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
But go on.
So they put me in pro audio. I knew nothing.
That's what I did.
I knew nothing about pro audio.
Me neither.
And so I would just try to bullshit.
Me
and sell
too.
things.
You got to get that jip up, baby.
Dude. Well, we had a wacky environment.
Do you remember your
in ours.
number? 937.
No.
9.
Fucking Rain Man.
No, I'm just saying. You remember how you enter your number to get that jip?
Yeah,
And
but
you cut deals based upon your.
and so I was anyway. There was a computer there, a Mac computer.
Yeah.
And it had GarageBand on it. And so I taught myself while I was there how to use it. And then I would go home to Allison's computer and make beats, And then I started learning about equipment, and I would buy in equipment, used equipment, like, and I'd set the price, and then I'd have one of my friends come and buy it. So I was able to get a lot of equipment, you know.
This is the way. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
We're talking about surviving and just making the most of what you have.
Yeah.
And how that's hip hop, that's reggae, that's most every genre is just making what you can out of what you got. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
So, and then that just led ultimately, Jesse and I had a disagreement, and I was no longer in the band after that disagreement. And after that, I was like, you know, any times I got up on stage with somebody, I've always had Alcyon as my like magical name.
Can I ask you where that came from?
It was a big trip, mushroom trip in Connecticut. When I was back there in those in-between years, in between coming out and visiting here.
You're like, Alcyon.
And saving up money.
That's my name.
Dude, no, it was
Forever,
like, so there's a beach in Connecticut.
Sorry.
No, it was just like
it's
that.
It's my new button. I got it. This is my Alcyon button.
Dude, it was just like that though. In the sense that the beach gets closed off by a gate, right? And so you can walk around it by the rocks, right? And so I had the whole beach to myself, you know, and it was beautiful. And like, halfway through the night, I just heard this, like, I didn't hear Alcyon at first. I heard the only word I knew at that point was halcyon. And I was like, halcyon. And I was like, what? I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going mad. And so much so that I was just like, fuck it. Okay, I guess the only thing I do is when the cop comes here, because they do a patrol in the morning, I'll just tell them I'm crazy. And they'll take me to the hospital and they'll fix me or whatever. And then, but by the time the cop got there, I saw the cop and I was just like, oh, fuck no, I'm fine. I'm not telling the cop anything. The cop waved to me. I waved back. He went on. I was like, sweet. Yeah. I walked my ass back home with this crazy experience. And from that moment, I remember I go back. My friends, God bless them, who I grew up with, are like, you know, they're not spiritual dudes. And so I come back from this trip and I'm just like, man, I think, and they're all drinking. I remember like drinking like Natty Ices or something, like watching The Real World on MTV and making fun of me for not being there to begin with. And they're like, what are you even doing? And I was like, I think I'm going to change. I think my name's supposed to be like Alcyon. And they're like, your name's fucking Charlie. Get the fuck out of here. Right. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not telling anybody that anymore. Okay. Right. So I kept it as a private thing for a very long time. And I got into ceremonial magic and Aleister Crowley kind of stuff and Western magic, Golden Dawn stuff. And and in that I used that as my magical name. And when Jesse and I had that disagreement, I was like, okay, fuck this. Like, I'm never doing anything without saying my name 1,000,000 times on the record, you know, or when I'm on stage. And so anytime I got on stage, I was like, you know, I'd be rapping. I'd be like, what's up? This is Alcyon. This is Alcyon. Just making sure that, like, people know. And so that kind of came. And then I started hosting an open mic with Frankie Hernandez and Andy Cassad at the Jackson Creek Pizza in downtown Medford.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I had this platform to, like, you know what we're talking about, like have a platform weekly to come back to write for. Like, holy shit, these people are listening. Like, I'd come back and they'd be singing. You know, once you make the album. And so that began the days of like, okay, Alcyon, I only put Massive on the end of it because I was like, this is probably like the Pleiades. I even knew just the intuition, the message I got was like, put something on it. Like, there's going to be a bunch of Alcyons, you know? So Massive was just the first thing. You thought there
would be lots of Alcyons? Is there another Alcyon out there?
Fuck yeah, there's enough.
I'm sorry, does it have a definition?
Not like me.
I mean, you know what I mean. Does like, the name Alcyon have, what does it mean? What does tell me what it means?
Oh, it's a mispronunciation.
On the surface.
Greek Alcyon, which is the kingfisher bird.
Okay. There we go.
The kingfisher bird, in a 2-month period off the coast of Greece, it becomes tranquil, you know, and the waves subside. Okay. And these rocks emerge, these, you know, little rocks. And the Alcyon birds lay their eggs on those rocks while it's in that, you know, time period. Okay. Before the water rises. And so those times of peace and tranquility became known as Halcyon days.
That is cool.
Yeah, and it's the central sun in the Pleiadian star constellation, star system.
Bonus cool.
And it turns out that it is a white dwarf, which is truly massive.
That is even cooler. I love that.
Dude, it gets so nutty, though, because, like, one time, Big Up Aquarius bookstore, right? You know, for all your spiritual needs.
I'm new to it, but I know what that is.
And Fred one day, he's like, well, have you ever read Krishnamurti? I was like, Krishnamurti? And I was like, no. Why? And he's like, because he used to use the pen name Alcyon. I was like, get the fuck out of here. What? So I start learning about this guy, Krishnamurti, that literally took the name Alcyon. And so there's this book called At the Feet of the Master, which is one of the greatest things. It's this big. You can pick up any page. It's just spiritual truth. But he was the golden child of H.B. Ledbetter and H.P. Blavatsky, who were the founders of the Theosophical Society. And they wrote a book called The Many Lives of Alcyon, which go through a whole time, like crazy people using the name Alcyon.
Interesting.
It's weird, man. And so I just kind of like...
Sort of serendipitous.
Yes. Synchronistic.
Yeah.
You know, like...
So you went with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you went with it and you took it to Southern Oregon, and then you went up and down with the bands, but then...
Through making the mixtapes.
Yeah.
This has a good lead. Through making the mixtapes at JCP at Jackson Creek, I would make a mixtape, sell them. You know, that was cool to make money. You know, $5 a CD. But I would draw on them like they were hella cool.
Doing your art.
Know? Yeah.
It's like
make it worth it, because it wasn't the best production, and it blew out a lot of people's stereos. And those fucking stickers that you used to put on them made them get stuck in a lot of people's car stereos.
You should let anybody, when shows open back up, if they have one of those tapes, they should get in for free.
That's kind of... Maybe. Who knows, man? I might try to set up a system where it's just I just get a bunch of donations for the show before it starts and just make shows free, because
we don't even know where this is going right now.
Anyway, so I was making mixtapes,
and
people were starting to sing along, you know, and I started having that, you know, relationship with the crowd. And then
it must have felt good.
It felt amazing.
Like the first time you actually feel that.
It was amazing. And you know, because I've played shows with the band. You know,
it's different when you say everybody da, da, and they do.
I'm just playing an acoustic guitar,
so
and they're singing the song. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, then you have a room singing the song. You're like, holy shit, like this is really cool. And so I put more and more into it, right? Yeah. And then one night I was there, and there's a guy named Bobby One Sock, big up Bobby, original drummer for Indubious, and he's like, hey, what are the chords for that song? It was the first reggae song I ever wrote, like fully reggae. It was called Keeps It Moving.
Okay.
And he was living in Medford, and he calls me over, and he's like, at that point, he was living in Medford, but the Indubious brothers were still living in California. So I'd go over to his house, and he was the first guy who made me a beat, like a beat, you know,
One Sock.
Bobby One Sock.
One Sock.
And I was like, this is fucking so cool, you know. And he's like, well, dude, I'm gonna have the boys over, and like, you guys should just connect. And so I met the Indubious guys, and
okay.
And I remember the first time seeing them, because they played at the Open Creek, or at the open mic. And I remember seeing them being like, oh, you can do this? I didn't know you could do this. Because I thought I was going to get in huge trouble for doing this. No. And then I was like, cool. Oh, this is rad. And so they came over, and their dad, Colonel Schwaz, rest in peace, was still there.
I've only heard stories about him.
He was a fucking character.
I heard that he was amazing.
Yeah, he was.
And shout out to the Indubious brothers. We want to you need to come back in here.
Yeah.
All right. So
and so we recorded Keep Lovin' with Bobby One Sock and the boys.
Okay.
And that was like, I don't remember exactly how it happened after, but at that point in life, I was drinking a lot of alcohol.
Was
working in a restaurant.
Yeah, this is the
everybody was an alcoholic.
You live sort of a vampirical existence when you work in a restaurant, you know. You stay up late, closing the bar, you sleep in, you get fat tips, you wake up at noon, you go out and you overtip the brunch server way too much, and you gorge yourself, and then you go back to work and clean up and kind of like put this facade on that you're like living healthy and got a good night's sleep, but you didn't.
But I had the open mic thing going on during that.
Oh, so you had like the dual... Yeah. You were burning the candle at both ends, basically.
Yeah, that kept me that kept my heart, you know, I was like...
someday. You feel like a superhero.
And it used to drive Allison crazy, because I used to be like, dude, there's just going to be there's going to be a guy that comes up and that believes in me, and then it's going to take off. And that guy's name is Eddie. Big up Eddie. You know Eddie. Yeah,
Eddie.
So Eddie's just like, yeah, you can come over, you can start hanging out, but you can't drink if you want to stay here.
I love that, dude.
Yeah. And so I was in a lot of teeth pain at that time. Needed a lot of work and stuff. So that was another reason I was drinking a lot. And then for whatever reason, went to his house. Didn't drink any alcohol, and I slept on the floor at first.
Like way out there?
Well, it was at first it was this other house, and that's where Bobby was living. The boys were living in a different house in Grants Pass, I remember, I think. And at that house, it was like Helena and Eddie lived there, and then Bobby had his room, and then there was another room. I forget why, but I was sleeping on the floor. I was doing a, air mattress every night, and then like rolling it up in the morning, and then
out of
like,
respect. Keep this
yeah,
floor clean.
Yeah. But dude, then during the days though, making music with Bobby and recording Dreaming the World Awake.
With Eddie just in the background, just rolling tree trunks.
Eddie's rule was just like, look,
trunks,
no
man.
drinking.
Yeah.
But all you have to do here is make music, and that's it.
So he saw your light.
Mm-hmm.
From what you're telling me, it sounds like you, along with the Indubious Brothers, along with Eddie and all the supporting cast, sort of spearheaded what up north we saw as a massive reggae movement in Southern Oregon.
I was part of it, and
I'm saying
Indubious definitely.
I mean, bro, who there was nobody else really doing that, right? When you came down 2001, and then through the battles and the restaurant jobs and the open mics and the networking and all these things, you sort of kind of just, built the nucleus around not just you, but other great musicians like Indubious Brothers and even Jared, Matt, you guys kind of built this thing. And I'm telling you, we saw it. I saw it up north, and I'm in a different genre.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a massive reggae movement, and it sort of trickled up here.
It was crazy.
Up to Eugene, where there was hip hop, reggae dance night at John Henry's, and it was packed. Like huge. It was. I don't think people understand how big of a deal those dance hall nights and how big
so
reggae
fun.
was. It was huge. Laffa Taylor even made a reggae band, man. Like it was big.
Big up Laffa.
Big up Laffa. But Laffa had a dub reggae band. It was the thing to do.
Yeah.
But you guys were already doing it.
Yep.
It's a massive thing. What was that like?
Well, big up Scotty One Drop. That's a big
and
part
Scotty
of it.
One Drop.
Yeah, big up
I'm
Scotty
not
One
trying
Drop.
to pass anybody up.
Oh, no, me either. Sorry for
obviously the escort service was.
But I'm just saying, once I got Scotty and Scotty was playing with the escort service, that's a real reggae band.
Truly,
because it was like
they'd fly in all the other reggae artists and be their backing band.
These guys live and breathe reggae. They're amazing. I got to play with some amazing musicians.
Yeah.
But once, and then it was like, oh shit, I can like write reggae now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because like now that I know there's a band that can play it, like this is crazy.
Was the scene like? For me, the hip hop scene in Eugene was kind of like that. It seemed like it was a movement, right? And then the problem with it was that maybe it's just hip hop and the alpha male thing, but it was just massive ego problems.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I think that's
loving.
The downside of any.
It wasn't
any
loving.
movement.
Was that also in the reggae scene as much? Because
of course,
really,
I mean, with artists, there's gonna be ego.
Yeah.
With artists, because of ego, there's going to be jealousy.
Yeah. That
jealousy becomes poison, and it poisons the well of the musical community. So everybody who's sipping off that well is like, it's just not good for it. And Prio, guitarist Prio?
Yeah, Prio.
So awesome. One night at Country Fair.
Oh, yeah.
In our camp, there was this jam going on. But it was like super weird. It wasn't good. It was like not good. It was very good musicians, but there was something not jiving. Not. And I go to him, I'm like, what is up with this? We're just smoking the spliff on the side, and he's like, oh, it's everybody's ego. They're all the egos are trying to get in the middle. And there's no.
That's how he talks, by the way.
He's like, I'm doing a horrible accent.
No, it's actually perfect.
But he was like, the spirit can't get in. When the egos are all in there, the spirit's like, hey, let me, oh, shoot. Okay. I'll try here. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like, and myself included, like, I'll definitely include myself in like becoming a victim of my own ego.
I also have.
And so there was a huge scene. There was a huge movement.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen overnight, but there definitely was this like,
yeah. Hold on. We're the headliner. No.
Well, not even like that.
But it can be like that.
Yeah,
it can stem from something like that.
If somebody wants their name above mine, I'm always just like, cool. Like I could care
as
less.
am I.
I'm making the flyer. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. Like put me down at the bottom. I know who's coming to see me. They know who they're coming to see.
Right.
As long as it's somewhat. So you have had, there are situations where you can't see your name. And then you're like, okay.
Truly.
And I'm not talking about the festival that you're still, I'm not talking when it's like,
where you're like, see that magnifying
I'm
glass?
right down there.
Yeah. No, I promise you I'm playing.
I'm playing in a tent.
You take a picture of the photo and magnify it and then circle your name on the bottom. It looks like you're a credit, like the address.
It's going to be festivals in the future, man.
Man, so this guy, Charlie, now Alcyon, a sea-bearing bird, laying eggs in rocks in Greece on the coast. You managed, I want to talk about how you managed to, and I say infiltrate, because to be honest, that's what it feels like you have to do to get into the country
fair. You definitely have finagle.
I want to know how you infiltrated the country fair and went from this guy that moved back and was doing these open mics and is bringing this reggae movement up, helping be a part of it, you know? How did you go from that guy all the way to throwing these infamous front porch Sunday night shows where I'm walking back and you're running by me on the path with crates of merch and where you going, bro? And you got a spliff in your mouth. I gotta go rock this show, man. And then you're running up to the front porch, and then I do my thing and I walk by the porch and it's just lit. There's just packed. Everybody's singing your lyrics. It's going off. How did you get into the country fair and work your way up to that guy?
So the first time,
because it's hard to do.
First time I got in, it was because of Indubious.
Okay.
And it was an unfortunate time where Efton was really sick. I believe he was either getting his lung transplant or looking for a donor. And it was a really kind of scary time, you know? Anyway, they asked me, they're like, I don't know if it was them or their, what's it called? Their manager at the time, Doug. I think he asked me to play, in their place, which I was like more than happy to. Yeah. And then he asked me to play. He had a thing on the Spirit Tower, like Doug, and he would do the musicians, the bandana,
the bandana, goes deep.
Yeah,
he's like the originator of this sound. He'll sit there and talk on the mic for hours, reading from books.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude. But go on. So Doug got you on.
Yeah, so he got me in, and I remember the first year. I was supposed to camp at Alice's, but Scotty was like, no, man, you can't camp down with us. Like,
Far Side.
No, it was, it was before the new place got built.
Miss Piggy's.
Craft Lot.
It
was Craft Lot.
The most chaotic place to ever be.
Chiveo was like one or two. No. I don't even remember. And anyway, so I remember, and they were like, the girls come up, because I check in, and they're in their cute little things and the flowers and stuff.
Welcome home.
Yeah, and they're like, so are you gonna just put? I'm like, oh no, I'm camping actually, like over in the Craft Lot, I think it's called. And they're like, oh no, you should come camp with us. And I was like, no, I'm gonna, my drummer knows the fair, and he does. Big up Scotty, like he's definitely a CF vet for sure.
Absolutely.
But it was crazy. And so then the next year, I think Laura invited me back. I think that was the ticket.
Yeah. When you get invited to the Four Seasons of Country Fair, and am I wrong?
Dude, no,
absolutely not.
No, dude, here's how nice
it is.
This camp is. I don't want to blow it up too much, but it's so nice.
Nobody
that
can do it.
I didn't trust my early bandmates.
You're like, no,
straight up.
I'm gonna go stay over here. You guys,
because I was like, I don't know what they were gonna do. If they get wasted and act a fool, you know what I mean? There's kind of rules, you know what I mean? You got to be like, cool.
They seem like they want to get rowdy, but they don't.
Nobody really gets, but later in my, later years, I, was like, cool. I started playing, the band got to a point where I was like, okay, everybody's cool. Everybody's friends, everybody's, I don't need to worry about anybody getting too crazy, Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with that. We could spend an hour talking about Alice's camp but through these shows.
Yeah.
I found it helped me network with other artists that I had never got to network before, because everybody wants to play the longest running festival on the West Coast or in Country Fair. Everybody wants to play.
Oh, yeah.
So you suddenly have this like ticket in, and you can offer that to anybody you choose.
Well, this comes with it. So Laura, like, God bless you. And thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
But it is like, and Robert.
And Robert.
But it is this thing with me personally. she's like, Charlie, would you like to play country fair? I'm like, yes, of course. Thank you so much. And she's like, okay, well, here's the deal. I've got one ticket.
no SOs.
Yeah, you know, like it always kind of starts like that, and then it's like kind of this game of just you know, doing the thing of just calling everybody and be okay, if I'll get you in if you need to drum for that guy, but I need you on Friday and Sunday. It's cool if you don't drum for me Saturday because I don't have a show.
Yeah,
you know, there's all these things you're doing, and a couple of years, one year I got on the main stage. That was phenomenal. For
it's pretty much the best.
It's the best. I feel like it's like when you get that chance, like that's
it's
awesome.
Sort of like a holodeck where you go and it's a program on a holodeck that has the ultimate show experience, and you know what I mean?
It's the best.
It's the best. It's the best.
And they give you tickets to be backstage for the whole weekend usually. Yeah. Right? So that's awesome. And but yeah, it's been in this kind of progression of every year being like, you know, but when you get to pick who's coming with you, it is incredible. Because everybody wants to go.
Them.
Everybody wants to go.
So, but what I want to know is, what kind of artists did you use that blessing to bring in new artists that you'd want to work, had wanted to work with at all, or?
It would always kind of be because I was always working with a general kind of band,
right?
You know, and then there's like, you know, so certain years people were available, certain years people weren't. Mm-hmm. Then there's certain people like Rabbit, Keith, and I love him. Like I loved him. Like he's such a perfect person for country fair. So I really liked having him. But then there's my best friend Andy, who I really like having too. You know, and then so it just kind of got to this point where I'm like, I really like having my friends. You know, more than that was more important to me than the level of musicianship, if that makes sense. And it just so happened to be that the people that ended up playing with me now are incredible. Yeah, I couldn't ask for better musicians.
Yeah, and they're still the Palladians.
They're whatever they want to be. And one guy, I don't know, like I love him, but I don't know if he's going to play with me anymore. Like not on my part. Like I want him to play with me, but I don't know if he's going to play with me anymore. But nonetheless, the three people that I play music with the most, are atheists.
But you are not.
I am not an atheist.
And they play the music to carry your vocal message about not being an atheist sometimes. And they back you.
They back me. Yep. And like I've had conversations with it about them. But here's the thing. If they were here, they'd probably be like, come on. No. It's not that I'm an atheist. Like they'd have like anecdotal
It's not so strict.
Say. No, not strict. Well, no, because they play with me.
Maybe you notice it more than they do.
Kind of. As you get older, there's things that happen. Yeah. You know, like kids, you know, right? And then the kids like, well, what happens when you die? Like, and they start freaking out. And they're like, I'm going to die? Like, I never fucking thought about that. I've seen a dog die. I didn't know I was going to die. And there's this huge existential thing that happens. The atheist, what does the atheist say? Is what the atheist says any better than what the dogmatic Christian says? Or any better than a mystical person that believes in whatever woo-woo they do? You know, there's really no right answer to all of it. And at the end of the day, I think faith is important. You know, through all that,
because you're always reading. Like when I come see you, we've had talks at the camp we were just discussing previously, and we'd have a nice long chat. Is pretty much annually, and a lot of the times you would tell me about what books you're reading, and all these new religions you're studying, and just constantly hunting for knowledge. And I'm going to assume, and I'm not supposed to assume, and I'm going to assume that you haven't stopped. And you know, where do you lie now with everything? How much have things changed for you in that regard? Well,
one of the times that I think we're talking about too, I was really getting into the Old Testament.
Yes.
I was super into it.
Super.
And Ari Lesser was camping with us.
Who is also very much into his faith.
He's like a rabbi.
He's a rabbi rapper.
Yes.
He's got bars.
Forever
bars.
Forever.
Infinite
about
bars.
Everything. For real, though.
About anything on a list that he's wearing on a large...
And he can rap all of it in front of your grandma.
All of it.
And a 6-year-old.
Right.
And not offend anybody.
Nobody's offended.
It's crazy. But he doesn't like putting his shit on beats.
Which is okay, because rhythmic American poetry doesn't have to be on beats.
Right. But I like it on beats.
You got bars, though.
I do have some bars.
And for those of you at home that don't know what that means that this dude can rap. And I will verify that and put the stamp, because I am a connoisseur of it. I like to study bars.
Yeah.
And I think that you have a lot of different skills and talents. I love your tonality. I love your singing mixed with rapping. That's really hard to do, to find your singing voice and then flip it into a cadence or, sort of a syncopated delivery. You're never really off with your syllable placement. It's always never forced. It's always on point. If you were a superhero, if he had a superhero card, Trevor, empathy is one of his powers. I think you're empathic. I feel like you feel the crowd and the energy like you did when you first made him sing at that pizza place. Mm-hmm. I remember watching you and hearing you rap in patois and sing that way. And then I know we've had discussions about you finding your voice and vocalizing what you think. And then I noticed a journey that you took with that, with just rapping even more like Charlie from Connecticut, but still delivering that message. A lot of people that I've talked to, me, we all respect you tremendously for doing that. And I've listened to the newer stuff and watched you flip in and out. And that's why I say you have bars, man. It's the utmost respect. But I want to know, what was that like for you, to that journey, just going, reggae is so involved with these words and these things that mean things, and the connection and respect to it. But I want to know about that journey into not using patois as much. And it seemed like you kind of shifted your style a little bit into this electronica spaceship thing while you flipped your style tonally. Can you tell me a little bit about that, what that was like for you?
Yeah. I mean, there was a breakfast I was having on tour with the Escort band.
Okay.
And I don't know what brought it up, but Balboa, trombone player, he looks over at me and he's like, just fucking being an asshole. And he's like, yeah, well, at least I didn't make 2 albums in a fake fucking accent, right?
Whoa.
And the whole band's like, ooh. like simultaneous. And I was like, what the fuck do you... And then on that same tour, Vince Black, who's a famous guitar player, he's a funny dude. Yeah. Seventh-day Adventist, not Rasta. Very funny dude. Yeah, he probably would say Rasta dude. Yeah. Anyway, very opinionated. Yeah. Will stop any Mormon in their tracks and be like, your elders are lying to you. Wow. Yeah. And anyway, so he turns back. Soul Medic and I are in the bus, and he turns back and he goes, what y'all doing is modern day blackface. Wow. I was like, what the fuck, Vince? We're on tour. Yeah. Soul Medic and I were like, and Soul Medic's like, fuck you, bro. Like I'm me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, who am I? Who could I be besides me? Like, that's me. Yeah. And then when you know a little of my story now, you know, and it's like, you know the story, and it's like, I have that influence, and I'm good at it, and it's like the people I felt like, I would keep doing it once I met Indubious and Jason and Soul Medic and all these other white brethren that were doing this, and their hearts were in the same place. It wasn't. I didn't meet people really. I mean, I would eventually, but originally, Rocker T, that whole scene were just like, they're really inspiring, and so I wanted to like do that the best I possibly could. And I got really good at it. Yeah. And I was finally at that place, and I put some albums out, and here's this guy saying what I'm doing is modern day blackface. Yeah. And then what he said when I calmed down, he's like, no, man, you look at you look at the top selling reggae albums, and they're not roots reggae. They're not like a Rasta album. They take things that they're inspired from, and they meld that into their own thing. He's like, look at Simply Red, look at UB40. Look at these bands that you don't think about at first. Yeah. And I started thinking about it, and he started naming band after band after band. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of onto something. Yeah. And Me always really been interested on those fringe things anyway, and that was the beginning of me delving in and being like, well, okay, let me try to stop that impulse. And it's fucking hard.
No, I'm sure.
The minute reggae comes on, that's why, like, a reggae artist invites me on stage, to do a tune or to sing something, right? It's not rap that
instinctually
comes out. Like
what do you want to say when patois. The mic comes?
But here's the weird thing, is that it's a spiritual, at least for me, it's a spiritual technology. Yeah. Right. So I can do things vocally and sonically, and get a message out, and things most importantly come through me that way. Yeah. When I'm spitting, like, I'm writing and spitting and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I'm like, and you do this, and I'm like, whoa, yeah. And it's like, so now what I'm trying to do is be like, okay, I can do that because I know the words, You know, I know how to say it. I can say it with now an American accent.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm listening to a lot of punk rock lately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this motherfucker's singing with an English accent.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's singing with an English accent for sure. Green Day for sure. Like all these guys, but nobody's sitting there being like, he's not even English, you know?
Right.
All these country guys that aren't from the fucking country and don't really have an accent, but they're going in there and making a country tune. And nobody's, you know, there are people that are like, you know, oh, he's not even from the country. But there's also a lot of people buying their music.
You felt like you were a conduit with, in the early stages. You felt like, I mean, let's be real, man. People are talking shit on Dr. Seuss, but the song of the year is WAP or WAP or Wet Ass Pussy. You know what I'm saying? People, it's very hypocritical society we live in. So, I'm commending you on your advancement in pursuit of vocal and tonal knowledge and spit and bars. And I'm saying I see it, I hear it on the hippie song.
Have you checked out Toby Nugwe? I can't say his last name. Tobi.
Should I have?
No.
Is he new?
I don't know. I'm personally scared to give Marv recommendations on music.
Why?
Because I did once.
What was it? Oh, that. Was it that? Wait, hold on. Was it that? Was it that album cover with the kid with the army helmet on?
Yeah. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
You didn't tell me that.
It was really alley, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that against you.
I was like, no, it's dope, bro.
No, every time I look at my Apple on my phone and the Apple iTunes, I go, come on, Allie. Like that. I never held that against you. But I want to talk about your Applegate show.
Yeah.
The last one I saw of you. I live up the road from the Applegate Lodge, and as people may or may not know, that place is a spot. It's iconic.
Yeah.
The parking lot was packed.
Yep.
It was almost a church scenario.
Yep.
You had a camera following you around. I came upstairs. I went to the green room. You had a camera following you. You were doing some video. I'm not sure what that was. It was sold out. I went to the back middle. I want to hear the good sound. I watched you sing, and then there was this moment where I don't know what song it was. Maybe it was Oregon Sunset. I'm not sure. But it was one of your songs. And you were singing it. And the entire crowd was singing every word with you, almost harmonically. And that power, you know, that's power to me. When you can say something that you wrote on a piece of paper and then you sing it in front of hundreds of people packed into a room, and they're singing it with you. They know all the words. And I want to know how that power feels now as opposed to the pizza days when people are singing stuff that you've written and it's just coating the room with what you thought. And then you're just like this. And I've took video of it. I sent it to you, but it's that moment that's the goosebump moment for me as an artist. And does it get any better than that? Really?
Mm-mm.
Isn't that kind of the moment that you seek, sort of?
The Lodge shows and the Provo Grain shows, like at that time, at that period, fucking no. Like I don't know if I don't need anything else in life.
Nothing.
You know, like as far as like having that experience, and when people are singing back,
it almost goes back to your boy's funeral gathering.
Exactly.
Everybody sang together.
Yeah.
And then. And then.
So if you watch like in the first CD, when you took the CD out, and said dedicated to Anthony Bruno, third, and that's been, and he's still with me. And on this next song or next album, there's a lyric for him. You know,
I'm excited about this next album.
I'm really excited about it.
I'm really excited about, when I think about you, I think about colors. I think, you know, if somebody says Alcyon Massive in my brain, I think boom, colors. That first thing, and it's probably because of your art. But what's your relationship with colors? Because you said one of your favorite hip hop albums was The Tribe, and I know that album cover was full of colors.
Dope.
So what's up with you and colors, man?
I love colors.
You do love colors.
Fuck yeah. I mean, I like wearing black a lot because I like that. You can wear it a lot. It doesn't look as dirty as other colors.
Do you feel the colors?
Yeah, that's another. Well, it's more like walking around with like another head on top of my head. Yeah, like with the dreads. Yeah. I already get attention, and so wearing black just kind of takes a little bit of that away. When I wear a bright, color, it's more attention than I want. you know, for the most part. But I paint so much that I feel like that's my relationship with colors is through painting and through graphic design. And, so I left Wicked Flower as a bud tender, right? And came over to a graphics and apparel place called iHappy. Big up Brandon. And so now I'm spend all day making T-shirts and stickers and hats and picking out colors. And you know, I just got in trouble for not picking out the right color.
Really?
I went for a red. It wasn't red enough. It was too orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that orange?
Dude, no. Have you ever seen a Pantone book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like he's sitting.
Oh wow.
So my relationship with colors, it's like, have you ever? There's memes where it'll be like one person, it'll be like a normal person looking at color, and it'll be like red, orange, yellow, green, and then it's like graffiti writer looking at color, and it's like all these different colors. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you know, like we were talking about favorite colors and stuff like that, and I love those colors, and they're spiritually important to me. Yeah. And I have flags, you know, in my house and stuff like that, but I don't personally wear a lot of red, gold, and green anymore. But my favorite color, I think, is a gradient. I don't have a single color, and it's between a deep fuchsia and an orange.
That's your thing.
Yeah, going from that deep fuchsia into orange, like I like all that.
That's your spot.
That's my favorite, but I don't even wear it.
What does that mean? Daniel, ¿qué significa eso?
I don't know. It's just different for everybody.
It is different for everybody. Yeah. I'm learning about color from Daniel Lorien.
Oh, word.
He studies color. He gave me a book on color.
Yeah?
And yeah, it's fascinating. That's why I asked the question, because I do think of colors when I think of you instead of just a color. Yeah. Just because you're so, I mean, every album design you have is just full of every color.
Wicked Flower just commissioned me to do their whole building.
That's not a bad gig.
Not at all. So talk about color. It's going to be like, so now, you know, downtown Medford, there's going to be.
Really?
Well, and to be fair, Zavi, I don't know if you know Zavi from Ashland, but he just did the Kids Unlimited building.
Wait, I know Zavi.
Yeah, you probably know Zavi. Yeah. But he did the Kids Unlimited building in Medford. So when you're driving down Medford, like I think it's Central or something like that, and you drive this massive building, and it's like super duper bright and colorful and psychedelic, like that's Zavi's building.
Okay.
And so I think the owner of the building has like a 20-year lease. So
oh wow,
that's why he's
so you're good to go.
Yeah.
You got a 20-year palette.
Yeah.
Okay. Do the colors have anything to do with your psychotic psilocybin relationship? But no, your relationship with psilocybin seems to be strong these days. Like 5 grams a song, 5 grams, and
tryptamines in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, or
yeah. I've once I took that first mushroom trip, you know, like I loved it, you know, but I never knew anybody that had it. And when I started dating Benny's little sister, I remember the first night, you know, she was like talking about acid. I'm like, oh, I want to take acid, but I've never been able to find it. She's like, I got some right here. I'm like, oh, we're fucking taking that right now. And she's like, Charlie, it's 10 o'clock on like a fucking Sunday night. I don't care. Drove to the beach, had the best night of my fucking life. Realized that I don't need to lie anymore. You know, came back home. I was like, my mom was like, where were you? I'm like, well, I don't want to lie to you. I was on acid at the beach all night with my friends, and I had an incredible time. And and they kind of accepted that, you know. And so these shows that I would go to, you know, and come back, like I was coming back a better person. I was prescribed, you know, Adderall and Ritalin at the age of 9. So
that's interesting.
Lorazepam and benzos at 10.
Wow.
So I'm literally taking one pill to go up, one pill to go down.
That's healthy. That's healthy for a young kid.
Yeah, and you know, my parents, God bless them, weren't, you know, there's no handbook on parenting, you know. True. So like they're great parents, I love them, you know, but there's some drinking, there's some stuff, you know, it made it not so easy. Yeah. But yeah, so once I came out to the West Coast, I was just like, give me mushrooms, like where are the mushrooms? I know they're out here, you know, and so I'd find them wherever I could. And it took me a long time to kind of like get to a point where I could have them in like on a regular basis, you know, not eat them on a regular basis, but just be able to obtain them. And the other thing I found out here was DMT, NN-DMT, which is different than 5-MeO, which is the froggy one.
Okay.
But I fell in love with that. You know, I was like, this is my jam. And then all of a sudden it was like this instant connection to the Pleiades and to Alcyon. Like it was like on. All of a sudden it was like I was going in there, they were like showing me symbols and stuff. And they're like giving me books and showing me shit. And I'm just like, what? And coming back out and being like, trying to sketch.
So much of your music is so honest.
Yeah.
It's so much about where you are and what you see around you. geographically, not only that, but it's so much involved with medicine plants like Champagne and Jaeger and 5 grams. There are all these songs that are, you talk about real shit, like really what you do. You know, it's not this like idea. You're not really, you project great ideas, but it's never usually the topic of your song to me. You're always being very specific about things that are going on in your life. And I love writing like that, songs like that. But Champagne and Jaeger, it's another one, you know. And I've been at shows, played shows with you where I'm going to play next, or I just played, and you're out there and Champagne and Jaeger's like track 3. Yeah. Because it goes off. Yeah. What songs do you have?
Well, it used to go off.
It used to go off, but let's just pretend that it hasn't changed. Okay. Well, it's hard to do, but let's just say, but what are the...
I learned a lesson.
What did you learn?
The best strain is not going to be the best strain always.
Nope. You can't write a song about a strain.
No. Well, you can.
If it want to be
can't
classic,
expect it to be the favorite forever.
People are like, that's last year, man. We're on that cookies now. That's last year. We're on that wedding cake now. That's last year. Now it's going to be savory. Everything's GMO. Burgers, onions, mushrooms. It was fruit and cake and desserts last year.
Don't tell me that. I will stop smoking weed.
I'm just telling you.
I don't want your burgers.
Dude, all I've been getting is GMO and Donnie Burger.
Oh, GMO. I like
garlic, mushrooms, and onions. Savory.
Is that what you say it?
That's what it is. I'm just saying the strains are going savory. Not a fan. But some people like having pirate sweat breath.
I do. No. Oh, I do like that.
It.
Oh, no. I like
all that
pirate
stuff.
Sweat? I like, no, like, yeah, I know where you're going. Like dirty baby diaper. It's dirty baby diaper.
It smells like meningitis.
I like dirty baby diaper.
Dude, I'm not into it. Cheetah piss? No way,
all
man.
That. Yeah. Give me that. That's that dirt.
No.
That's the good.
Please don't.
Homie.
But that song, what I want to say is, I want to ask this is the question I want to ask is, what songs are your go-tos when the crowd's in the front and they know you're going to be there and they know you're about to set it off and you want to light the fire and get it going? What's track 1 through 3? Usually.
Bring It Back.
Okay.
Well, that's tricky because we don't do like 3.
Say 2.
Good songs. You know, like 3 big songs. Usually there's one like little soft one worked in there and 3 ones. But
okay.
Bring It Back, As Above, So Below. Hilltop Hermit.
Okay.
Those would be
I like the Hilltop.
Yeah. Bug Life. If I have the musicians, I can play it.
Okay. So those are your bangers?
Yeah. Bug Life is the only song I ever used a sample from somebody. It was just like an old song that made its way to that album, and it used a garage band sample. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and it was so weird. It was like a symphony thing that nobody's been able to, like, musicians come in and they're like...
But the hippie song has a sample in it.
The hippie song?
Yeah, it starts off with this.
With the hippie song. That's not on an album.
It's not? It's on the one with the... No? The picture of it is on there.
The hippie song, to me...
YouTube is lying to me.
Oh, it is.
Dude.
Oh, for sure.
People love making photo collages of your music and putting it.
They do, dude.
Isn't that interesting?
It's weird.
It's cool.
They make lyric videos sometimes to my songs. I'm like, that's not right.
That's love.
Yeah.
But it's love, though. It's love. You know, like...
It's my fault for not, because for years, all of my fans have been like, can you please put your lyrics on your website?
You have a cult following. You do. You did that. You're very important to the music scene down here. You've done a lot of hard work, and you've networked with a lot of people, and you progressed, and you kept it 100 with your writing, and I commend you for it. And I'm super stoked that you were here today. And I have some fun questions.
Okay.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Because I think we've touched a lot. We talked about where you grew up.
Yeah, you did a good job navigating that.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But we've had conversations before, so I was ready. We could talk about social issues that you want to change. Nah. We could talk about, the bandmates and how they always change, but we don't need to get into that. We could talk about where Oregon's going for you, what you think about. I would like to touch on. Can we touch on that for a second, Trevor? Yeah. Okay. What do you think about? I mean, because you moved, you have a unique perspective of somebody who's moved here from the East Coast 15 years ago, and now you're here you're in Grants Pass in this studio right now. Yeah. You're seeing the way Medford's growing, the way Ashland's price, living in Ashland's going through the roof. Californians are just swarming here because we have water, yet California sunshine.
We have everything.
We have everything. Good weed, good water. where do you feel that this is going? What is your perspective on the way it is now?
It looks like it's, at least Southern Oregon is growing more into a scene where there's like, my friends are going to be the migrant workers, right? Like,
Yep.
it seems like everybody's working on a hemp field or for a hemp company or a ganja company or a dispensary or a vineyard. You know, it's so I keep seeing that and I'm like, that's interesting. And then I see Grants Pass, big up Grants Pass, in large part due to, you know, Travis and Dutch Brothers, like really sinking a lot of money in here and other progressive people coming in here. And this place, the Hive, is dope. You know, and I see a lot of movement in Grants Pass and I have a lot of hope for Grants Pass. I don't know Oregon as a whole though. It's just so different everywhere. Ashland, and with the COVID thing, Ashland, all these tourist places are so deeply affected that it almost puts them on a level playing ground with a city like Medford or a city like, you know, not like Ashland.
GP is a city built on a large, infamous river. And Eugene, where I come from, is a city built on a split and divided by a large, infamous river. And it reminds me a lot of Eugene 20 years ago. That's what I'm starting to feel when I come into Grants Pass. I see a solid downtown that they're not going to tear those buildings down because they're all historical.
Right.
The businesses might change inside of them, but you're going to have an eclectic looking downtown. You're on the road. You've got outdoor activities. You know, the more like-minded people are starting to move here. Food carts are popping up that are actually good.
That's the first sign of true culture.
It is.
And there's some. Oh, I haven't had Catalyst Pizza yet.
Oh, the red truck down there? You're talking about the red truck down there?
I don't know.
Is it that red truck down there?
This is what I'm talking about.
Somebody came up to me and was like, dude, there's a red truck.
Dude, I'm a pizza hoe. I love pizza.
Okay.
I'll eat it all day long if I
Applegate Country Club pizza?
That's another one.
Fire.
Some of the best in Southern Oregon.
Yes.
Martoli's.
Yeah, give me your top 5 pizza spots.
There's not even 5. Maybe. God. Martoli's.
Martoli's.
Fucking on the coast. What's it called?
I don't know, man.
Zola's.
Okay.
Even though they kind of took a dip when they went bigger. Anyway, there and then Vinny's in Medford. When they were Paisans, it's different at Vinny's now though. But that's Brooklyn pizza.
Yeah.
And then,
but you know what is authentic and what is not.
I know what a good piece of pizza is.
Okay, so this is
a good piece of pizza.
Doesn't
need to be more than cheese on bread with some sauce. That's all you need to.
How thick's the crust?
Not thick.
Thin crust.
Ew, yeah, okay. Thin crust.
Foldable.
Like, has to fold. Then preferably, I would like a slight crack on the bottom of when I go to fold it, a slight charcoal crack in the crust.
That doesn't break. Foldable, crispy, thin crust.
Yeah. Why doesn't that fucking exist like everywhere out here? It's so weird to me.
I don't know.
I'm like, what happened? Okay, thank you. Because I played a show at the Sound Lounge last week or a little while ago. Big up Jay. And I was like drinking too many beers and I was talking about pizza. And like I'm like, there's not even fucking good pizza out here. And they're like, Catalyst. People started screaming about it. And I was like, what? I haven't heard about this. How have I not heard about this?
Oh, because you experienced a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap this up, Trevor. I have to ask. I have to ask about this. You experienced the epitome of a musician's nightmare, and I think it led you to back what you went through. I think from the outside looking in, is when I saw you post that this happened, I was like, this is gonna bring him back to the guitar, and he's gonna become more powerful than he ever imagined. and it's feel like it's happening, and you have the show coming up on Friday, and I know you're going to bring it because you always do. But tell me about this musician's nightmare.
Well, it wasn't as bad as I think you
When
think
did it happen?
Early December.
Early this past December.
Yeah, I think that's when.
What happened
before that? I woke up, I did a podcast with Andy.
Okay.
So all of this stuff and everything was
all
in
your
the
gear,
car,
music
all the
gear, computer
that I needed for an acoustic gig.
Okay.
Right. But not my computer.
My
computer was not in the car.
Okay.
Yeah. That would have been bad as well. But
Okay.
anyway, no, my acoustic that I've had forever, my Martin, my pedal boards, all my methods of playing a gig, you know. Anyway, I went outside. I got home, and I went outside at like 3 o'clock in the morning, have a smoke, and I look over and I see a bicycle and I'm like, whose bike is that? I'm like, where's my car? Where the fuck's my car? And start freaking out. Call 911. Get a cop there. Talk to the cop. I'm like, fuck. I don't think I'm getting anything back here. The guy's like, wait, whose bike is this? And I'm like, God. Anyway, my car was found. Just, you know, minimal damage to it. Trashed, like super trashed.
Oh, bro.
Like in the inside. But anyway.
But more importantly, who cares about the car? What was inside
exactly. My guitar and everything. And so that led me to have to obtain a new method. I have an electric guitar.
Okay.
But my acoustic had become my main thing.
Yeah.
And so through the ethers, Mikey Stevens reached out.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Mikey Stevens.
Mikey Stevens reached out, who unfortunately is suffering from a disease where he can no longer play guitar right now. So he was just like, here's this. You use it as long as you need. If it becomes your guitar forever, great, you know. But if I start playing again, I'd like it back. And I was like, sweet, okay, cool. So that's what I've been playing with right now, in my intermediate, in my mode right now.
So did losing your main instrument?
Andy gave me a delay pedal.
Did losing all that make you sort of? I don't know. I played
guitar. I played guitar for 3 hours when Mikey gave me that guitar.
Yeah.
I brought it home and played for 3 hours.
Because you were just like,
I played it till my fingers. I literally couldn't play anymore. My voice was just shot. Wow. I was just singing and playing and so fucking happy.
That's the stuff right there. Because those moments those are the moments in the movie.
Yeah.
The Alcyon movie where you lose your thing, you get the guitar back, you're playing till you're bloody, and then 3 months later you play a live show.
Yeah.
With us.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to anybody who's. I don't see how you could be bored listening to this guy's story, but we went a little bit deeper than I thought, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to go in the water and see what's underneath there. But I want to talk about the song that we're going to leave him with right now, because to me, it's hard these days to get people's attention, and you can only imagine being in a car with somebody and they are just all over the place, and you're like, look, man, I want to show you this new Alcyon. I want you to hear about Alcyon. I just did a podcast with them. I want to play a song for you, and you got like 2-second window. What track am I playing?
Oregon Sunset.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to tell me a little bit about that song before we say goodbye and put it on? Or?
It was just it was a partly channeled song while living up at Eddie's, and a lot written on the porch. During the sunsets, and listening to Eddie wax on Revolutionary, and a combination of that through this like the mystic quietude of the Grants Pass Hills and the sunsets and everything, and just like it was a combination of all that. You're
in a pure place, writing a pure song.
Willie Whitefeather coming over, rest in power, Willie, coming over and telling stories of the Hopi and Cherokee and stuff. And yeah, so that all came out in that song.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's like I love listening to that song.
Honestly, when I wrote on my thing, I wrote, if I heard that song covered by a pianist with a butter voice, I'd probably shed a tear. I did. I wrote that. It's right here. If I heard that song, I mean, it's one of those songs where the lyrics and the chordal progressions and what you put down really kind of give a good insight into who you are, and when you're hungry, and your dream and your love that you have for music and how you project. And I don't know, man. It's just I was really stoked to have a true Renaissance man like you on today, somebody who's never stopped going forward and trying to create. I think you deserve that kind of shine, and it's been a utmost pleasure to have you here, man.
Well, thank
you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody following that one. That was a good one. So we're gonna leave you with Oregon Sunset by Alcyon Massive. Tune into the live stream. This guy does need a new guitar, so we can give that one back. So let's get some donations going on that link, and let's get some views up and share this podcast so people can know about this man. Good man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Oregon Sunset. Cue it up.
ancient woman in the river of a full moonlight. And I'm so happy, yeah. I've been chilling like an Oregon sunset, red, golden green, caressed by the breeze. I'm a child of the trees as I drive through creation, as I pledge I just see it, yeah. Here in the mountains I found peace. Here in the mountains we don't need no police. Here in the mountains I'm truly free. Do you know what it means to be truly free? I say, not subject to any authority. Free to grow my hemstock, free to sow my seed, free to groom the land and raise my family with the youth educated in the ways of peace. Can't you see it now? Little dreadies running round with a picture of Selassie on every corner in the town, and them not have to worry about the place to sleep, no food to eat. When their feet they never touch a Babylon concrete. If we protect the mountains, elements, protect the eye and eye. Proper care of the land is all we need to survive. For as long as the sun shall surely shine, I'll be doing my best to spread child vibes. For these mountains are sacred to those who understand the channels through which the spirit flow. From my head to my toes, I know that my soul is connected to the land of the white buffalo. Peace, I've been chilling like an Oregon sunset, red, golden green, caressed by the breeze. I'm a child of the trees as I drive through creation, as I pledge I just see it, yeah. Here in the mountains I found peace. Here in the mountains we don't need no police. Here in the mountains I'm truly free. Do you know what it means to be truly free? I say, I've been chilling like an Oregon sunset, red, golden green, caressed by the breeze. I'm a child of the trees as I drive through creation, as I pledge I just see it, yeah. Here in the mountains I found peace. Here in the mountains we don't need no police. Here in the mountains I'm truly free. Do you know what it means to be truly free? I say, I've been chilling like an Oregon sunset, like an Oregon sunset, like an Oregon sunset.